Hello, so just in case you have been wondering about how to start using a sketchbook or a creative journal to record like your art or your ideas and things like that, I thought I'd share with you some of the things that I do with my sketchbook to make things feel in flow for me and that feels right for me. Now this isn't so much tips or anything, but it's more what works for me. So this is one of the sketchbooks that I've got on the go at the moment. I don't work in a chronological order at the beginning and then like everything in order. I have things that get made sometimes on paper, like this one. I've got some things to stick in just today, as well as things that I make directly in the book. So we've got a whole mixture. So not needing to go in chronological order stops me from making that judgment about myself and about tying it into a particular period of time. So our memories tend to be like quite mixed anyway when it comes to psychology and emotional responses. We could make a piece of art that was maybe last year but can still really resonate with it now, or we can make a piece of art just yesterday and it may bring up emotions from maybe 10 years ago. So I've got a mixture. We've got just, hang on, this is all sticking together. So this is some acrylic paint. So actually, I don't kind of limit myself as to your sketchbook is for sketches and drawings, and then outside of your sketchbook is the paintings and pieces. But I do what feels right in that moment. So it's an opportunity to just grab a piece of paper. That one, for instance, was a reflective image that I made like on a separate sheet of paper, and then that stuck in. Actually, it's come off now, but we'll stick that back in. What else have we got? Sometimes I'll be in the middle of something that I started ages ago and then feel inspired to go back and add more colour to it and bring something else to it. So you don't have to do a piece of art in one sitting or have that piece of art, finish it before you start another one. You can start something, abandon it, or just gently pause with it, and then at a time that feels right for you, not even something scheduled, you can come back to it and just lean into whatever feels right for you. So sometimes it's just a case of going back over and drawing back and colouring some things. Sometimes it's maybe that you've got a new idea that you like. So what I'm doing right now, the reason why I've come on, is that I've got some things to stick into my book that I made just on card or just separately on paper. And I'm just kind of going to organise these. So what this helps with is to reinforce my creative practice. And some things I don't keep everything. Some things can be discarded. It's your choice what you decide to keep. And keeping something in the sketchbook could be that you stick something down purely as it is, as one sheet. I've trimmed the edges because I want it to keep inside the size of my sketchbook so it fits in with that. And the reason I've chosen to put it in here could equally be just an intuitive thing, just stick it anywhere, but I feel like there's a contrast of energy here. It feels like the shapes are quite similar, but because this is paint and because this is pen, I'm really recognising and using this to acknowledge that all feelings are valid, that all energy levels, I can be doing something much more fluid and much more lots of movement, or I can do something where I'm using pen and there's a bit more control. So likewise, sometimes I'll have like a little doodle thing, or sometimes things will be unfinished again. These are actually upside down, but because I've got a lot of abstract stuff in here, it doesn't necessarily matter whether it's upside down or not. But I often lean into things that I don't necessarily feel that confident about. So like portraits are a good thing for that. So starting something and then I'm not actually finishing it, and that's okay, because or I've got a picture of a deer that I started probably about 4 years ago. But then it might be that that's where sometimes things are just not finished at all. But this is just, when we see these empty spaces and see maybe the bits of torn edges and bits that are kind of messy or bits that are sellotaped in, the whole thing is to remind you that it doesn't need to be perfect, and it absolutely doesn't need to be to make sense, whether to you or to anybody else. Some people might look at these pictures and just sort of go, oh, you know what, actually you've got a lot there, or what, they don't really make any sense, or like, but I'm doing this for me and for my emotional regulation, and some of it to demonstrate those techniques to other people, and some of it to reflect on different things that are going on in my life, or as an art therapist to reflect on and process some of the work that I'm doing with some of the clients I'm working with, because that's a really key part of being an art therapist, making those images and having that reflective practice. So sort of a bit of a mandala. This is actually the mandala that I was videoing when in the video that I shared recently about things, and I quite like actually seeing the pattern put onto there. This is one that's not been sprayed with hairspray, so I like to use hairspray to fix things, but I don't always do that straight away because I like the effect sometimes. So this is a chance, if you like something like that, you could draw on top of it, or you could get the paints out and use that as a starting point to paint. The possibilities are endless. This was an example of some painting techniques, mixing colours. And then this piece was something that I did just to think about doodling. So the fire one, that's an interesting one. Sometimes I keep coming back to different themes, and the paper stuck together again on here. Ooh, so some of these like frustrations that happen in art, like something tearing or something being stuck together, can be a way of really increasing your tolerance for frustration and distress. So actually, if you can cope with a splodge of paint not going your way, then the chances are of you being able to cope with something being uncertain in your life is going to increase, because that's building your resilience. So hope this helped. You can approach your sketchbook in any way that you like. Doesn't need to start at the front. Whilst this is the front page and it says POW, I didn't even start there. That wasn't the first thing I did. I did a lot of things before I even did that. So there wasn't like this POW start at all. And I suppose that shows how somebody might look at this on the outside is very different to how it was made. And that's a bit like life, really. How we show up to people on the outside can be really different to how we are on the inside. And what's the most important thing is how you feel on the inside. So let me know what you think of this video, if you found it helpful, or if there's any other things that you've thought of by watching this. And I'll see you soon. Take care. Bye bye.